Sergei Grigorov?
Yes, it is Sergei Grigorov from GS Gaming. I have a big mission for you.
What?
You must play mish game from 2003.
Is that a...
Yes, no, Fuchkov.
Ah yes, at the depths of the Stalker iceberg is Oblivion Lost Remake 3.0. The real mod that truly brings the game to the old glorious days of the early 2000s, adding cool shit like old guns, cars and gazillion crashes, with the developer zealously following the early design documents to create something barely functional, using whatever they found in Sergei's garage. And it's not like this mod is known beyond its name and maybe a few schizophrenic YouTubers. It is surprisingly underground for such a household name. This is where Stalker began after all, and luckily it didn't end. Perhaps this is a hidden gem within the sea of Tarkov slop mods, or maybe it's just funny. With the biggest competitor to Oblivion Lost being Lost Alpha, I thought it would be perfect to compare them, especially as that will piss off the 3 Oblivion Lost fanatics that aren't pensioners yet. Now, when it comes to the atmosphere of Oblivion Lost, I think it does a pretty good job. The game has a really good old school vibe, the zone feels dangerous and unforgiving, every step you take could be your final. Unfortunately, some parts are a little too unforgiving, to a point of ruining the immersion, like stepping out into the army warehouses and immediately getting jumped by 3 bloodsuckers that just insta-wrecked you with no real way for you to fight back, or a random anomaly snatching you when you are obviously out of visible range, not to mention the gazillion bugs, but well, funny. But below the surface, this mod does underground ambience really fucking good. Too bad going to the underground turns the game into a walking simulator, and there is barely any reasons to go beyond chilling with rats, and maybe like 2 quests that don't even force you to explore it properly. Even if the undergrounds are one massive labyrinth that can technically lead you to any part of the map, it's literally just faster to walk on the surface. But the really cool thing about the mod is all of the old locations. It is really interesting to look at the old maps and see how they were before the final release. Stuff like the old Yantar having a much smaller lab with these weird satellites, or Dead City and its statue of Lenin with brain-rotting radiation radiating from him. There is some kind of social commentary here. Or you could visit the long-ass road in the cordon, or the long-ass road in the garbage, or the long-ass road in the bar. Yeah, there is a lot of long roads here, probably for the cars that just happen to be barely drivable in any of the maps with roads, which is pretty much every single one. Ignoring all of the broken stuff and taking a look at the guns and gunplay, we'll find more broken stuff, at least for hardcore difficulty. As you can imagine, all of the old guns are super interesting and cool and all, but gameplay wise lack the precision that the newer models provide. Doesn't stop some of them of being extremely charming and satisfying to use, no matter how much they suck. And since scopes don't work, I had to use crosshair for the first time in ages. Shotguns are probably the shittiest guns in this mod, as mag dumping a bloodsucker with a protector is just not enough apparently, nor is it enough mag dumping it with an FN2000. And now the weapon damage seems to be coming from the caliber, which makes the best options to also not be the most cost efficient ones, giving you the choice between having 2 mags and being broke, or having 420 bullets and still being broke, and die either way before you can even shoot your gun, so you have to rely on actually outsmarting enemies most of the time. Too bad you can't run with your gun out for some fucking reason, forcing you to go through all kinds of mental gymnastics just to not be demolished instantly. But good luck outsmarting enemies because the AI is fucking cracked. You never have a normal gunfight in this mod. You either face Vadim, who can't hit shit at point blank, no matter what gun you give him, or AI that rushes you and aimbots you the second a pixel of you appears on their screen. I was literally forced to head glitch half of the gunfights with these crackheads just to have a chance, and my grand solution is fuck off! I am literally not fighting some of these assholes. Like sometimes the AI acts like you would expect, but they are literally cheating, like look at this shit! Corner, watch corner, look away for a second, Ivan appears, meet maker. But don't worry, the AI can shoot you through walls too, and their aim doesn't get affected by emissions in any way, and they don't even fall for bait and know exactly when you're looking away every single time. They even commit to team tactics, such as one stalker distracting you while another one sneaks up on you. It's crazy. But it's not impossible to win with enough stubbornness and positioning and hard drugs. But if you have that kind of tism, all of this could be worth it for the completely functional A-Life system. The stalkers will spawn into the zone with several specific goals and try to achieve them, like exploring, fighting, collecting artifacts, destroying the zone, find the monolith and even find themselves. And stalkers will actually roam around the zone, but you'll notice that there will always be predetermined places where you'll see the most traffic, like 3 bandits being near the entrance to Dark Valley, or 2 military stalkers in the cordon or checkpoint, or right up your ass for the 7th fucking time. So I'm not completely sure if it's 100% A-life or just the illusion of that. Maybe they have too much freedom sometimes, but I know only one thing for sure. Whoever put the fucking Freedom Patrol on the Dead City stairs can suck my ball. Where it gets more interesting is the way stalkers and mutants interact. So basically, they schizo the fuck out whenever a mutant gets close, but other times they know it's safe and put their gun away literally when a mutant is right there. And if all goes to shit, they run away. And you can even shoot the guns out of their hands. I think this might be the most interesting mod when it comes to the way AI works. No wonder it crashes like hell. This shit rivals Global War with the amount of crashes it gets, and that mod has 30 factions roaming a huge zone. This one has lootable knives. So, what about the mutants? Oh man. To start, I will split the mutants into 3 groups. The low tier ones like zombies, dogs and flashes that just kind of exist in the zone and usually don't do much other than soak up the cheaper end of your arsenal or get reclaimed by the zone. The second group is the ones we found along the way, since it's too early for Snorks or Tushkanus to exist. And then we have the 1% that take out the Stalker souls for themselves with their unquenchable thirst for your wallet and blood. Correction, more like half of the mutants you fight will be from this group, as the devs really enjoy putting bloodsuckers inside of every bush in the zone, but all of them seem to have something that makes their ways of torturing you truly unique. Bloodsuckers tank almost everything you throw at them. Full max? Don't care. Direct explosives? Literally works for you. The only way to deal with them without getting cock and ball tortured is to glitch the game. Otherwise you'll be hiding in the basements like it's a Scooby-Doo chase scene. There is even a second type of bloodsucker you can run into, the old concept bloodsucker, which, well, I know a guy.
And then, oh fuck!
Functionality wise, it's a slightly tankier version of the bloodsucker, because they fucking needed that. They can even hurt you by just coughing near you, and is especially frustrating to fight, as getting hit stops you from sprinting, and that's not very healthy for you. But hey, at least it's not like Stalker 2 where they stun walk you, right? Right? Well, fuck you, it's just not as cheap as they actually have to hit you now. But it's still pretty cheap, and this will be 90% of the game's difficulty. Do you have the range and ammo to financially survive this bloodsucker encounter? So you can pay the 10,000 rubles money gate for the main questline. Another mutant that makes a return is the Chimera, even though they're not as strong, as you can run around them until they drop dead, but it's rare to find them alone, usually distracting you until something more frustrating reaches you. Overall, fun! Controllers have the biggest differences from all the mutants so far, as they've been replaced with naked crackheads. Sometimes literally, they will zoom around you, and sometimes attack you directly for a big autism strike, but most of the time, they will just shit on your screen and flip your aim around, and are more of a nuisance than any actual danger. Doesn't stop them from clapping your cheeks up close, sometimes literally. Another inclusion to the zone predator list is several gangs of the Albanian mafia, such as the Hoods and the Newts. Gameplay wise they seem to do the same, blast you to shit and block any path to having fun. They are not that hard to defeat if you stay away or just, you know, bomb. But more often than not, you'll be gang fucked by at least 3, and wish you never installed this piece of shit. To make up for the pain, the zone gifted several cut mutants, such as the civil zombie and its many variants, and you'll be fighting literal hordes of them. This is almost the most common mutant, and they're pretty harmless, but you can still end up cornered if not careful. They are both dumber and even dumber than you think, do not estimate them. The ones you should worry about are the parasite zombies, as they can infect you with zone 8s that cost way too much to cure and burns a hole in your questing wallet, with the only way to protect yourself being to burn a hole in your wallet yourself and buy an ecology suit that turns to shit after one hit and stops doing its one job. Amazing. There is also a headless zombie, so no head. Another cut mutant that returns is the miniature stature person. These little goobers from Faculteta don't seem to do much other than chase you around and flail at you, just like the real citizens of the Sofia Hood. And you also have the funny standing up Islam. Cool, this mod really benefits a lot from this. But the majority of the common mutants are literally the same. Exceptions maybe being the slightly more cracked pseudo-dogs, poltergeists phasing in and out of physical form, and pseudo-giants being aggressively homosexual and literally impossible to dodge, run away, or kill without glitching. Luckily they're kind of rare, unlike some other homosexuals. Now to talk about the features that function, as that would be a much shorter list. There are first-person item use animations that work, immediately making it better than Anomaly, and despite looking pretty janky, I'd say they're pretty good. Like you have an animation for changing PDA and flashlight batteries, as well as all the healing items and even animated smog. There is also, okay, maybe we'll skip the sausage, but now you can get immersed with alcoholism, just like real life. Another big feature is the new old anomalies and artifacts. Anomalies have the older simplistic visuals and are mostly the common types, such as the gravitational anomaly that violently ragdolls you for walking, the acid anomaly that makes people scream, and shit like like the Burner and Electra that look the same and just kill you in very boring ways. The more interesting part is a few cut ones that make a return, like the common cold anomaly and plants. I always thought Anomaly's vegetation is pretty interesting, so now you have the roof vegetable, and the wall vegetable, and the moving vegetable. Don't forget the trap vegetable, and the ground vegetable, not to leave out the exceptionally rare cum stream anomaly. Not like you'll be able to see any of them, since getting close to clusters of anomalies stirs your vision to complete shit, and that's on top of gravitational anomalies being pretty hard to spot and also being everywhere. But it really slows down the pacing of the game, forcing you to actually pay attention. But we all know that holding sprint and doom scrolling is the proper way to play Stalker. There is also this invisible no gravity anomaly that traps you floating in the air and sometimes moves you around. Paired with another anomaly, it can be turned into a trap if you will. And one of my favorite features being that over time, more and more anomalies will pop up closer to the borders of the zone, showing that the zone is slowly expanding. And no matter how interesting the artifacts are in this game, there is one major flaw: they degrade. And no matter how cool your artifacts look or how useful their stats can be, if shit does not last forever, I'm just not using it. Plus artifacts with lower durability sell for less, so you pick between money or plus 4 kilos. But plus 4 kilos isn't gonna complete the give the cunt in the bar 5k because fuck you quest. Well, at least there are quite a lot of them around, but you also need to get information on them before you know their properties. Okay, that part is kind of cool, but it doesn't change the fact that most artifacts are really not that great. Plus the cunt still wants his money. Perhaps the developers were hoping that adding a backpack carry capacity stat to every suit would force the player to use gravitational artifacts. But no, even then you're better off just getting the Gomar suit that gives you 60 instead of 40 kilo weight cap, and the carry capacity mechanic will constantly drop your shit if you're 1 gram over the limit. So good luck collecting all of it in the middle of this rat field because you wanted a grenade, or because you wanted to bandage yourself in the middle of a fight, or because you unloaded your fucking gun. Equipped items apparently don't count towards the backpack weight, so you gotta put all of your shit in your pockets and preferably carry 1 gun, or well, Gomar suit. Surely there won't be any mechanic that can stop you now. Ah, mister, there is disease in your mother and radiation at your father and all legs. Another terrible feature is that you can't sprint with your gun out, and even worse is that you can only save in shelters, which don't exactly exist on most older maps. Luckily for you, it's possible to save in some very specific trees and bushes, as they count as overhead cover apparently, turning you into Romania's most dedicated wood inspector. And you best find that one very specific bush before the game crashes and sends you back a minute. But don't worry, it gets even better. Traders don't work at night. Ah, sounds reasonable. Let me just... Oh, fuck off now! Yeah, sometimes your character just doesn't wanna sleep, forcing you to run around and do nothing, or well, abuse drugs. But don't worry, traders will also refuse to help you at night if you have any of the 4 types of zone aids, and their help is probably on a level similar to American healthcare. You pay half of your savings, your mama-led body fuel, and your first newborn, just so you can survive long enough to do it again. During my playtime I didn't get rabies or rat insanity even once, but I got zombified literally by just walking, so you can exist and just lose $500 because the game felt like it. This is just Stalker with taxes. Good thing you stored all of your life savings of artifacts in your stash. Oh no, you got fucking robbed despite putting them on a roof with no NPCs and they just took just the artifacts. Unlucky! Like, despite all of the features existing to make your life literal hell, there has to be something fun, right? Well, dead stalkers leave funny skeletons and there is scars and they're completely broken just like in Pre-Boy, but they're quite rare and barely drivable. I mean, in Pre-Boy they were barely drivable too, and oh, shut the fuck up! This is Oblivion Lost! It's the most well-made restoration mod that gives you the truest Stalker experience. Lost Alpha? Fuck that shit! It's an overrated poser mode made for posers with terrible pacing and it's walking sim and it has bodies. Isn't that cringe, guys? The last thing to talk about is the factions and their relations. A big change is that Freedom and Duty aren't hostile to each other. In fact, it's not uncommon to see a Freedomer on Duty territory and vice versa. Except the Freedomer is actually useful. They even work together in some of the quests, which as you can imagine isn't really as interesting as having insane zone drama between the homosexualist factions. Loners, bandits and scientists are pretty much the same as in vanilla. The military seems to be the one that differs slightly, as they are very willing to wear eco-suits instead of just uniforms, and are far more active in the zone and even use BTRs, but some of the other factions also happen to use eco-suits sometimes. The Mercs are now called the Killer Kill Clan. The Killer Kill Clan. But that's where the differences end. It's just paid killers. An interesting bit is that Clear Sky is also present in this mod, but it is just a group of 4 stalkers doing jack shit and their leader is literally next to the scientists and working with them. So what's the point? And finally, the one our Oblivion bros have been waiting for. Sin. The Dark Stalkers in this mod probably have the greatest presentation that you could ask for. They are a death cult, and it shows. They all look fucked up and are extremely hostile and absurdly cracked in combat, performing ritualistic executions on any stalkers naive enough to wander into their base, with skulls and bones littering the place. And their quests are even more messed up, asking you to kill stalkers for no reason and bring them rat and bird carcasses. They're kind of edgy, but in a cool early 2000s way of edgy. Not in the saying the N-word 71 times in a row edgy, even though that they look like they do that as well. So I believe this is everything that I can cover outside the story. And honestly, all issues I have with the mod can literally be fixed by just letting you run with guns and save anywhere you want. Then it wouldn't matter how difficult anything is. In fact, a bug broke both of these things and made the game so much better. I could finally maneuver during fights and save whenever I want. This clearly shows that it's possible, but it's hard-coded on purpose. And why? How does that benefit anything? It's not realistic, and the AI is clearly running with guns, and not being able to save just fucking waste your time. So I hope the devs take note and at least give an option to play the game the normal way, because this is fucking retarded. In this current state, I really can't recommend this version of the mod over Lost Alpha. Even if it has very interesting concepts and AI, it just isn't worth dealing with so much instability, pretty questionable mechanics, and poorly done quests. That is literally all the devs should work on. At the moment, Oblivion Lost 2.5 and Vector of Alienation seem to have much better reputation, so just try those instead. Hi, hello, editor here. So I just learned that there is this community patch for Oblivion Lost, which fixes a ton of things. I'll just list them on the screen, and like, I really wish I knew this existed. You'll see why. I'll be linking it in the description. Okay, bye. Okay. Well, enough of that. It is time to yap about the story. But just saying, Call of Chernobyl has a more comprehensive story. You are warned that absolutely nothing makes sense and you can't even tell what's a side quest and what's mainline half of the time. It's just shit thrown together. So, here we go. The game begins with an intro cutscene, giving exposition on the creation of the zone, the top secret laboratories within its borders, the roots of the stalker profession, the recession of Sergei's hairline, and even the disappearance of a well-known journalist. Yada yada, your truck crashes, your character is saved by Ataturk himself, and he has a vision, telling him to
kill yourself.
After that yap fest, you wake up in Bootleg Sidrovich's bunker, and the game immediately reminds you that this is Stalker. Your character does not remember jack shit, and his dialogue with Toad is pretty straightforward. He owns your ass, and you need to work it off, because yes, he gives you a shitty knife and asks you if you know anything about the nickname S.T.A.L.K.E.R, but you are an amnesiac, so you don't fucking know. Great dialogue. You name yourself Messer, and the therapy talk ends. Toad gives you a simple job, to swap this sealed box with the one left near the military checkpoint, but upon leaving, Messer has a stroke. So I went back down before my brain stops and picked up the box, took 2 steps out and had another stroke and passed out. Upon waking up, I took the army box from the checkpoint, dropped the shitty box and went back to Toad. He mentioned something of a 3 times born survivor of the death truck, confirming that he's schizophrenic, just like everyone in the zone. Next job is to find a funny artifact sitting on a tower near the bridge. There, it's quite dense with anomalies and radiation, but it's a relatively simple task. On my way back, I tried my luck fighting some of the local fauna and got my ass handed to me by Remy and Emile. Upon returning, Toad pays me $50, just like in real life, and mentions the return of someone named Goplit. But upon talking to him, he's just some drunk, like everyone else in the zone. But it is impossible to survive with just a knife. Asking Toad about a gun, he barely schedules a shooting lesson with a guy named Digger, and gives you a pistol he took from a hobo. Skipping the shooting tutorial, Toad mentions that the Flash somehow stole documents from one of his couriers, and to check out its lair on the factory roof. There, you find the documents, and someone immediately tries to steal them from you. Welcome to Lulin. Upon returning, Messer's next case is to return back to the factory he was just at, because of a military raid that disappeared there. And he also tells me to get a grenade and watch out for zombies and someone controlling them. Seems like I'll be getting touched very early into the game, aren't I? Going there, you will find the commander lying on the ground. Hitting him with the "what's up," he shares that there is a controller here. A second later, the room is filled with zombies, and on the second floor is Mo Lester himself. And I somehow managed to bomb him. After 10 hours of walking for zombies, I helped the commander and started escorting him back while trying to avoid killing the other soldiers, because they tend to get a little upset over that. Once the commander is safe, I return to Toad, discussing how serious it is that the controller is here. And then he told me to fuck off and come back in 5 to 6 hours. He also briefly mentions Stalker's name Poopy, and Blue, but the second I walked out of the bunker I got attacked by the military, and I managed to kill one of the soldiers. Oh no. So I snuck into one of the houses and found Poopy and Blue just yapping to each other in mythical runes. After that, Poopy told me to do something socially useful, so I headed north. Once in the garbage, Toad sent me to talk to a dutier named Boar. As expected, the duty checkpoint wasn't doing so well in the dog control department, so I had to intervene. The commander of the checkpoint, who wasn't named Boar by the way, apparently called me just to tell me to go away, because Messer is very ambiguous, and in the local legends he is believed to be the reborn 3 times. Apparently that has brought the attention of the Killer clan, and the zombies have started appearing from everywhere, and they are all looking for Messer, so he gives me a gun and sends me away. I also picked up a shitty artifact for Toad on the way back, got slapped with infinite bleeding for it, and eventually it was time for the next thrilling commute. The next errand is to find a guy named Ferret and give him a package, and you can find him in a house with a single bent over soldier. Talking to the wounded Stalker is almost complete gibberish, and you don't really get much out of it, besides mentions of S.T.A.L.K.E.R and him questioning the death truck. So he fucks off, and I pick up the package and bring it to Toad. Toad questions Messer once more if he remembers anything, but it's of no use. He promises a last mission, to map out a few anomalous locations. Sounds pretty easy, let me just get to the closest one. And it's not working. Uh-oh. Apparently, this genius mission has a specific path at which you need to scan the anomalies, and it's optimized to waste as much time as possible. So here are all the locations in order. Thank god that I'm not playing a walking simulator like Lost Alpha, right? On the last location, a stalker saves you from a pseudo-dog ambush. His name is Lone Wolf. He shares a rumor that Messer and S.T.A.L.K.E.R have beef, but Messer is confused and has questions, but Lone Wolf was too busy tweaking. So I scanned my last zone and went back to Toad. He shares that the zone seems to be growing. Then he immediately comes up with more work for Messer. To contact the Jackal and get the info on the stash of the Jolly Fox. And for some reason, I had to pass the camp pipe. Like, this is the quest marker, the quest marker is here, and there is an anomaly in the way. Who makes this shit up? After several attempts, I was at the meeting spot, but Jackal was nowhere to be seen. Then an emission interrupted me, and I slammed 7 cans of food in a basement. Once it was all over, I went out, and got sniped instantly. Twice. After handling the sniper, I found Jackal on my PDA, and DM'd him. He immediately asks if Messer is the guy looking for S.T.A.L.K.E.R, since everyone and their grandma knows about it. Asking him about the stash, he says that the job is cancelled and to get my ass out of here. Yesterday a death truck arrived again, and there were multiple stalkers that survived, all looking for Messer. Jackal says their zombies programmed to destroy him, so he needs to watch his back, especially from dark stalkers. Apparently there is a myth that the one who rises 3 times can get the ass, the heart of the zone. So I decide to bail out. Toad is shocked of what Jackal said. If zombies, and especially dark ones, are hunting for Messer, then staying on the cordon is not safe anymore. The next task is where it all truly begins. There are documents on the Med-Pribor Research Institute that can help us to reach the center of the zone. There are also rumors that a certain S.T.A.L.K.E.R managed to get there, so it's a win-win. Toad also briefly mentions the Burnin that can change the zone bullshit for the 84th millionth time, but he forgot to mention one thing. The Med-Pribor is apparently full of radiation, haha. To survive there, I need a drip. So I had to do one more fucking job for said drip, which unfortunately didn't go as planned. Eventually I brought back the artifact and got the drip. Dripped out, I went to Agroprom. Good start. 2 steps later, an emission began and made it impossible to see shit. So during my attempts to find cover, I gently dropped dead from brain rot. On my second attempt, on my third attempt, I walked into an anomalous bush that was quite ready. Eventually I made it inside the main complex, and now I just had to survive the crackhead AI through very heavy bleeding and an emission, which blacked out my screen the same second that he pushed, bitch. So I resorted to corner camping, and a white flash nearly ended me again. After that clusterfuck, I walked out to see a treehouse in the middle of the train tracks, with rats under it. So I bombed them, but accidentally killed some quest NPC as well. Then I walked into another plant, and I had forgotten to save, so I had to endure the emission and the crackheads again. This time ignoring the rats, I climbed up the tower to see Goplit again, and he's wounded and needs 2 random healing artifacts. I should have left him bombed. So after shoving them up his wounded ass, he drops an essay on the missing children incident that went into Sidrovich's Kolbaseria in the zone and disappeared. The journalist, the one from the intro in case you slept through, tried to find more about them, so he hired a pro-stalker named S.T.A.L.K.E.R to help him. Finding the journalist could lead to S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Bullshit! Replied Messer, looking at the barely alive man dropping an essay. Then suddenly Goplit remembered he was wounded. Wow man, this story sure is getting too entertaining now. Here is a classic Agroprom montage for the 7th time.
Care package on the way.
family pizzeria looking for a security guard to work the night shift.
After literal hours of suffering, I was finally out. Returning to Gunplay, he was very dead. Cool. But Messer for some reason felt really sorry for this one random guy, especially after annihilating half of the zone's population for some papers. And shit, I forgot about S.T.A.L.K.E.R stash, because it isn't in any of the usual spots. It's actually in the back of the institute and guarded by Albanians. So I snuck in, only to find that it's blocked with rubble. Kill me. After 10 more hours, I found a random ass open notebook that was supposed to lead you to the basement. With no idea what to do, I returned to Toad, gave him the documents, and he told me to return after an hour. An hour later, he comes up with more slave work. There are underground catacombs under the whole zone, with an entrance at the cordon. He sent a group there and they haven't returned. Find them. But before that, I managed to ask him about the basement trouble. He agreed to help, but I need to off some soldier that was actually doing his job. So I understandably dropped the guy and jumped into the shitty underground. The underground was eerie, like a part of the zone that sunk into oblivion, lost to the times. Eventually, I found one of the stalkers named S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Damn, this zone is full of furries. He explains that this place is an underground labyrinth and that he got lost, but he has not seen anyone else. Continuing forward, the place is full of all kinds of junk and bodies. And the hole, it's sculling for me. It has the funny. Continuing forward there, you will see many rooms, but I don't really suggest going inside, unless you like rats. Continuing forwardest, I ignored every single room, but the mental damage was getting serious. It was Molester again. Eventually, I got past all the bullshit and found myself in the final room, with a dead scientist and a random skull. Picking it up, summoned Enver Hoxha himself, whom I promptly sent back to hell for inventing Serbia. But before I could escape, I had to face the biggest enemy yet, the physics model Anafens. He felt really heartbroken that the group was dead. He also went through the documents from Agroprom and says it's only part 1 of 2, with part 2 being here on the cordon, soon to be extracted from the zone. So I snuck into the military checkpoint at night and found it, and they found me as well. Let me just, my second attempt at sneaking out wasn't perfect either, but I managed to snatch it out. With the documents in Toad's hands, the situation was looking clearer. The military is looking for something at the center of the zone. Couldn't see that one coming. He suggests showing these papers to Barkeep. He'll have a better idea of what's going on. In the middle of my trip to the bar, Lone Wolf contacted me, saying that the Barkeep is not waiting for me empty-handed. There are documents in Dark Valley that he's very interested in, but getting into the valley is gonna be hard because of the psi waves that rot your brain. Then he instantly tells me of a brain rot blocker that was given to some now dead soldiers in the garbage. But before going there, I went back to S.T.A.L.K.E.R stash. With the rubble clear, I went down the basement and found a room behind some planks. The room seemed pretty empty at first, but eventually I found a PDA, with it mentioning multiple pieces of information that most likely contain S.T.A.L.K.E.R's homebrew recipe. Oh man, this is gonna be pre-boy all over again, isn't it? Eventually it was time to leave, but something was wrong. There were assassins after me, and Toad wasn't very friendly either, saying he knows about the papers. But ignoring the potential bits of lore, I found the dead soldiers and took the brain rot blocker, and it apparently has a battery. Man, I sure hope this doesn't bite me in the ass down the line. Finally, it was time to step into the Dark Valley, and immediately get destroyed by a bloodsucker. If not the bloodsucker, it was the horde of dogs right next to the entrance. And good luck trying to run away. There is also a mercenary sniper camping the main road. With a constant buttfuckery from all directions, I took my chances with the dogs. The tall grass and the fog didn't make it any better, and the bloodsucker randomly decided to make his way to my buttock once more. So I just tried again, and then again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Eventually, I managed to just get out. The place was chaotic. Unfortunately for me, I ran into more bloodsuckers. One of them hit an anomaly, the other one my rear end. Then Toad Toad sent me a message about the Stalker called Yaroslav, who might know S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Following the mark, I found a random peaceful hut surrounded by friendly neighbors. On the roof was a case with 2 documents and Goblit's PDA. One of the documents mentions some mumbo-jumbo about psychotropic weapons, anomalous experiments, the Duga, and the Chernobyl plant, mentioned 4 times in a row. Very interesting indeed. The other document mentions Vadim and his project of creating Zone Furies, using Reactor 4 of Chernobyl. Outside the hut is Crows of Duty. Their base was attacked by the Killer Q clan, and he asked to come with me. Haha, no, I don't care about your problems. Goodbye, you better go home, kid. The zone is no place for a punk like you. And ironically, what Messer said. Eventually, I met with Yaroslav, and somewhere between the triple dialogues, he mentions that he went to S.T.A.L.K.E.'s group to Pripyat, but they split up when S.T.A.L.K.E. headed to the CMPP. And he knows nothing else. Thanks man, that sure gave me a lot of new info. And now I had this yellow peace filter stuck on my screen. Eventually, I was out, and found this random ass quest to find the Stalker's missing eye. Once with the demo man, I handed the eye over, and he told me of the Stalker that made the eye. His name being the Swamp Doctor, who is rumored to stitch Stalkers and mutants back together. The Stalker also gave me a bunch of papers. Written on them is information about a psycho-emotional correction unit that makes people like Gamma instead of any good Stalker mod. Now it was time to head to the very welcoming bar, now on Romanian territory. The first person I met spoke to me about dark Stalkers and demanded vodka. Inside the bar were both scientists and Slavs, being the one place to unite every strain of alcoholic in the world. But barkeep didn't trust me yet. For that, I need to do duties work for them. So I ignored him and went back to quests out. But at this point, the peace filter was getting too distracting. Unfortunately, even Toad couldn't help me, so I just continued to the next errand he had. Going to some shitty undergrounds in the garbage, past a generator and a manhole, literally, was one of his shitty artifacts and a random door that led me to a massive tunnel network. And I guess even the devs weren't sure what to do here. Exploring the peace-covered tunnels eventually led me to a code-locked door and some rubble pile that was important enough to continue the quest. Eventually, I hit an invisible wall, then heard something weird. Well, let's go and chill. Well, as it appears, there is a chimera blocking the way. So I tried blowing it up. It didn't work. So I tried again, but with more gun, and it worked. Then I fucked off, and I ran into a sewer Albanian and some vertically challenged Serbians running to avenge their boyfriend. I also found some documents that never appeared in my inventory. Cool. And it seems that you can tell Toad of their existence. There are leaks on large-scale military operations in the zone. Probably leaked by War Thunder fans. But Toad wants nothing to do with them and tells you to fuck off to barkeep. You can also ask him to start up the excavation business again regarding the rubble in the underground. Unfortunately, I couldn't stand the yellow peace filter anymore. So I went back and replayed the last few hours and somehow it was even worse. 8 days later, literally, I was back to check out the rubble and it was gone. So I went in, had a drink on the toilet and Toad immediately called me back. It was like 10 seconds, but I got distracted and kept going deeper and deeper. And at some point I got lost in this maze of random thrown together props. Eventually I found something familiar and realized that this is connected to the Cordon Catacombs. Following Toad's stupid overground quest directions, I found it. With my license revoked, now it was time to ignore my fines and bomb Barkeep's stupid dog pack, because duty could never. Talking with him about the military documents, he literally tells you nothing. Fuck you, go waste 2 more days. And now I have to do more slave labor for Toad on my... So I went back to Toad's busy hoe. Editor, cut that out. So I went back to Toad's butt-ass shitfuck hoe. He had a new task to handle. A stalker went to Yantar and disappeared. He was clearly dead, but periodically one of his couriers would see him under the bridge. And you're the dipshit of the hour to handle every fart that comes out of this bunker. Going to the bridge, you see the Phantom of Cordon, posing menacingly. Seconds later, he's laughing at Messer for still being a brokey working for bootleg Sidrovich. So I solved the problem the Balkan way, and he was gone. Amazing quest. This is mainline, by the way, but the Sigis and the vodka were worth it. Finally talking to Bartender Keep, he shares that he discovered a lab under Dark Valley. We gotta find it, but it's not that easy. There is something weird there that downloads twittered on everyone's PDA, turning them into fucking retards. His words, not mine, by the way. So, in classic Oblivion Lost fashion, I was forced to buy another Psy stabilizer for 2,500 bucks, because the old one got wasted through an emission and Yarosov not existing. Back in Cancerland, it was time to meet with the K.E.R clan. Then an epic cutscene plays, with the K.E.R clan leader talking with someone else who seems to be very butthurt. He wants someone gone, and is willing to contract the very skilled K.E.R clan of killings to do it, even if they suck ass. This person is name dropped to be Major. He wants you dead. And now, right after their meetup, it was time to meet the one in charge of killing people who don't want to be killed. Despite his homicidal tendencies towards you, he needs you to do his work for him. One of his men is being killerationed by a stalker, and he wants you to do a killeration on the stalker instead. Messer tries to bullshit his way out of this one, but the K.E.R clan leader mentions Trelok. Well, say no more, man. Off I go killing again. But it never is as easy as I wish it was. As it seems, the neighbor upstairs installed his floorboards wrong, but it shouldn't be a big holy shit. Well, that went well, and the second attempt was somehow worse. So I decided to grenade him instead, but the giant slammed his meat hand onto the ground, and this shit is horrifying. I knew I had to be more aggressive, so I pushed him. Can you guess what happened? The fucking... Like, this shit is impossible without bugging the AI, so I kept on going in random directions, hoping it's the right path. Eventually, I stumbled upon a dentist office. A dentist office with rats. Rats make me... I walked into this door and was transported to the Agroprom underground. It was dark, with a shining hammer sitting on the wall that Messer very unrealistically refused to take. This is a fetch quest for later, isn't it? Just fucking take it! It's right there! At the end of the tunnels was a dead end, and behind me was a guy not having a good time. In the other, now a realistically dead end. Hehe. Oh no, by the looks of it, the game just couldn't abstain from committing molestation for 5 seconds, as it somehow expects me to kill 3 bloodsuckers with an AK and a dream. Unlucky for it, I accidentally ran into a safe spot, and I started blasting. My target was dead, and now it was time to get out. Oh, for fuck's sake, it's been 3 seconds! With no options, I threw violence at the door, and it started fucking tweaking, and the outcome didn't change by much. So I tried explosives. So, you know what? What if I just leave? Like, a lot of things here seem to be fixed by just not participating. Returning to the Killing's clan leader, Messer asks him about the lab. He says that some of the local thugs have been there. Great, let's go. There is more tasks. Well, I gotta take out one of theirs now. After wandering for 30 minutes, I randomly ran into him. With the killration done, the motherfucker refused to talk, because he has some beef with duty. Man, just throw a dog in there, you instantly win. Seconds later, Major Krasnov DMs Messer about his brother, who got forcibly taken into the K.E.R clan ranks. Well, you gotta sneak him out. Pretty simple. He thanks you. Krasnov does too. And Barkeep starts nagging you about the lab. Man, meeting the mercs was your idea. Shut the fuck up. Meeting with Krasnov, he gives you his side of the K.E.R drama, and also some information on bandits in the Dark Valley. Bingo. Going to the bandit spot, you see a dude. Okay, you don't see a dude here. And you meet with the the big boss, shares of a lab up north in the valley. But the entrance is sealed, and only he knows the code. For the code, he wants you to bring him 3 virgin rookie stalkers that got stuck near his base, and he refuses to elaborate on why. So I brought him the fresh sacrifices. Then an epic cutscene began, and it was just the stalkers walking in. What the fuck? Slut gave me the code, and he would do his thing. Going to the lab, I entered the code, and it's expired. But a strange text message leads me to around the corner, where I meet a strange dead man, and he's willing to share the real code for the lab, only for a VSK and 5 vodkas. Luckily, I had 1 VSK saved up since early on. I brought him the gun and the vodka, and he shares the real code he took from a scientist. Asking him about S.T.A.L.K.E.R, he shares that the guy was always running back and forth, but with such quest designs, I'm not surprised. But he doesn't really share anything else. And now it was time for Lab X18. Upon descending, Messer suffers a schizophrenic attack. Breaching through the front entrance, the voices voices in his head start rattling louder. Who are you? We are people. Can I see you? Why? I want documents. Why? To find out the truth. What kind of truth? Who is S.T.A.L.K.E.R? Don't you know? If you give you the papers, we will leave. Probably. That's not an answer. Well, alright, I'll definitely leave. You will fool us. Fuck you! I feel like I have monoxide poisoning. One step into the lab, you find a document. It reports of how lab number 15 was falling apart, with distrust within its workers and information leaks. But in the middle of reading, I black out, and whiten out in front of a dwarf. He mentions a one-eyed stalker that took their treasure, and this happens to be the random documents I got from Phil. They promise not to get in my way, and he disappears. After wandering the lab with the lights off for a while, nothing was happening, which was very anticlimactic. So I went back into the starting room and found this grey lever on a grey wall. One pull later, the shaman instantly got in my way. Then a voice started calling from upstairs. So I fought my way to him, getting zombified in the process despite the brain rot protector. The man was a soldier stuck in the lab. He was protecting the scientists during an alert when something ambushed them out of nowhere. Most importantly, he spoke of a way to shut down the radiation to the lower levels. That happens to just one-tap you if you try to go down. So I continued towards the dark hall, my greed being my worst enemy. And did I learn from my lesson? No, I was just faster. Soon, it was time to click the big red button, and it opened the main door, but it didn't stop the brain rot from the lab's lower levels. So I escorted the soldier out of the lab, with his buddies coming to pick him up. Then I went back and my fucking battery is low. Oh man, there wasn't even a warning, you just get fried on the spot. Change of plans, we need money. So I went to sit to sell all artifacts I collected along the way, and they're gone. Fuck! Plan B. After a long while of alcoholism and insomnia, I was monetarily lighter, but ready to go back into the shitty lab, and unlocked it with a code I found on the scientist PDA in the lab. But there was another lever here that should turn off the catacombs, and I was able to jump down. It was eerie. Then someone named Elder sent me a message, wanting to talk to me. So I moved slowly before realizing this is an Albanian hood. So I had to welcome them appropriately. Dobre zavariu, komshi. HP bainsta. At the end of the hallway was a dead end with documents on the ground. They mentioned human experiments, specifically in creation of Buerers. Can't believe someone will create such horrors. Walking out, I found a tweaker hitting the GGBG, so I tried to put him to sleep. Emphasis on tried. He was very thick-headed. Threw an army of zombies and Soviet IKEA furniture thrown at me. Once out, it was time to crack open some canned sarma from Kaufland. Okay, never mind, can't have shit in the zone. It was the killer clan of killerations. They kidnapped marked Messer, just in time for duty to kick their ass and save the day. So I met up with their commander, but the documents were gone. They once again dug off some shit about the Triceborn, yada yada. S.T.A.L.K.E.R, he also came. Apparently, the sinful society also believed that something depended on him. Maybe he was Triceborn too. Then, as always, this conversation just spiraled into gibberish. Alright, we fucked over from Dang Valley, stoned as fuck and shit. They have another gibberish conversation, and Psy reveals that he actually took the documents and just never said anything, and just hands them over to me. So was this entire clusterfuck necessary? They just killed off the mercs. Anyway, seconds later he gets mentally molested by an old man and turned into a zombie. Then you follow suit in the former. It's just most normal Saturday in Yambo. Once in the bar, Lone Wolf follows after you, escorting you to a sleepy place for your state-mandated EP time, and you are literally forced to do it because barkeep isn't here. One nap later, you two head to the bar. Messer stands on a table, and they start sharing schizophrenic ramblings with the hardest line ever dropped by Messer. You all have a remarkable selective sclerosis. What the fuck is this video? Lone Wolf also mentions that Messer reminds him of S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Soon later, the owner of this fine establishment arrives. Finally, I can continue the quest. I don't like to talk business on an empty stomach. Alright, I'll be waiting for you an hour from now. Why? Why can't you just get on with the fucking story like a normal game? Why the fuck is Messer such an asswipe all of a sudden? Oh, I get it. The Twitter feud in the Dang Valley. After wasting another hour, I finally can continue with barkeep. We go to his private office for what I hope is formal business relations. He told his guards to piss off, and it was finally time to get to the point. The documents speak of a kind of psychotropic installations that are located in the north of the zone, and that the Yanter science base was supplying the equipment for them. Then Messer goes on about the black monolith, and it spirals to fucking I don't need you and chuckles. Ooh, barkeep. Notices your alcohol dependency? He spoke of the black monolith, of a number of secret labs around the zone, and the erection of the sarcophagus. Anyway, the black monolith is rumored to grant wishes, and those rumors of experiments and miracles spread, and rumors could not be stopped by a military raid. Barkeep also shares that there are 3 brain rottage devices on the way to the black monolith, and if it's true that Messer is Triceborn, his brain might be more fireproof. But an unknown man, barges in. Barkeep says it's not a good idea to talk to this man. He suggests just going out to Yantar to meet the scientist. But before that, Messer should go to the Silent Hills and scout out the military base. So I was curious who this dangerous man is, and it's Major. So I just shot... okay, never mind. So instead I gave Barkeep a lobotomy and tried another trick. Okay, never mind. It was time to explore the Silent Hills. The place was teeming with life and made me feel very safe. And Messer for once had a good idea. But I kept on poking the darkness. The walls of the leader were decorated with bones and skulls. Life is pain. Asking the leader about the existence of documents here. He says that he will give them to me in return for a few dirty deeds. You can either tell him to fuck off or do them dirt cheap. And I agreed to do it because I love murder. So let's get this over with. It will hurt you more than it will hurt me. Actually, when I think about it, I just had to be fast enough, but my skill issues were taking the best of me. So I tried lining them up instead. But of course, my luck was really pushing its limit. But with enough trial and error, I managed to take them down. But was it really worth it? Ah, of course it is! Papers are everything in the zone. And the leader is pleased. Calling Messer tries Born once again, and confirming that they are stalking him in Stalker. Immersive. His next task demands flesh! He wants me to bring him rat and bird carcasses, so I shot a few birds and saw rats in front of the exit when suddenly a cutscene begins. Messer is the chosen one. He is, apparently, twice born. He wakes up in a cell with nothing but skeletons and the crucified body of a stalker. With no escape, the days go by, day and night and day. Sin keep him alive, locked away in a box, just alone with his thoughts. When one day he finds a note by the journalist, he questions it, and then the base gets attacked. A massive firefight can be heard outside. Now is the chance to escape. With the fanatics destroyed and my stuff recovered, and I sure hope I didn't miss anything, now it was time to somehow escape. Splendid, I love this game. Eventually I ran into the X4 files, mentioning a biological unit in Yantar, an artificially grown biomass. So finally it was time to leave for real. Even the Darkstalkers escorted me to the exit. Actually we won't, because our loners are hostile now. Can't catch a fucking break here. So I went back and redid that entire part of the scene as rape, and it was just as awful, if not worse, this time. Here is another montage, and I got nothing to say, this shit is self-explanatory. Anyway, Barkeep had nothing to say, so I finally was thinking of heading towards the Hunter, when I got messaged by a Stalker called Kubaut. He introduces himself as a Clear Sky member and offers some work for you. Toad also jumps at the opportunity for unpaid labor, telling you that Jacko is sending an SOS signal from the Cordon Catacombs. But I would choose to ignore that and refresh myself with a walk towards the Hunter. But the bunker was locked, with our request going to the assistant, and you can't miss him. Speaking to this glossy man, he seems nervous. What? No reason. She's gone, you know. She's gone. She's missing in the damn lab under... Okay, fine, I'll do your few requests. So, I passed by Kubaut and got Goplit's PDA decrypted, and you learned that Goplit was a S.T.A.L.K.E.R as well. In his PDA is a message that he met the journalist at the swamps. He was running away from someone he refused to mention, and he was last seen heading north. So, my first stop was Toad. He was fucking gone. Alright, let's just go find Jacko then. Eventually, I found him in a cage in the catacombs. He was dead, and someone else was here, and they ran deeper into the shithole. So, I zoomed out my map and followed the mark, and soon I ran into the killers, and it was time to commit Killeration. And here he was, Major, in the leftovers of flesh. And his PDA has some spicy news. He told his bosses that Frankenstein Stalker is here, the one the Doctor put together from other Stalkers, but he is unreachable because of the Psy radiation. But his target is the Stalker Messer, alive. But seems like that would be a bit difficult for him now, huh? So I made my way out through another part of the catacombs and was thrown away in the Rostock factory. Now it was time to do the fewer shit in Medgroprom. And of course, Snitch from the bar wants the fucking hammer I found before. But before that, I tried to find the Clear Sky Stalkers and failed. So I contacted them through PDA and they want some kind of a gadget. So I got the hammer, then got the package, which was gravity gloves. And they work like a scuffed gravity gun from Half-Life. And I couldn't give it to the S.T.A.L.K.E.R. So I ran away from Agroprom because fuck this place. Now it was time to get the stupid silver pendant. The Dark Valley was now much clearer. And this is the part that I missed, the Elder. But this man was armed, so I panicked, and it didn't go well. Going the pacifist route, I needed to use the gravity gloves to lift a bunch of boxes and tell some Stalker to fuck off. And in return, he gave me the pendant. I handed it over to Professor Neckbeard, and finally, I could meet with Shakarov. The only option I had was to ask for work, and he gives me a task to find a team that got lost in a city. Which city? I don't know either. All I know is there is Zone 8's outbreak, and I have to go back to get a spacesuit. Again. On the way back, the duty leader wanted to talk to me, and he didn't seem to be doing too well. He was fighting the voices and losing, and duty didn't seem to be doing so well either. Perhaps they had Zone 8s within their ranks. And I might be correct, with duty wanting to rid the city of the disease. Messara asks the duty leader for a proposition, but here is my own instead. He wants me to find 2 sources of the contagion and report to his guy on the field called O. So, I threw all of my cash at Barkeep, got a suit, and went directly to the city. The first person I met was the beautiful Stalker. He fell victim to an emission and was saved by the Doctor. So, the uglified Stalker has met the journalist and he has seen him in this very city, but he refuses to tell me more before bringing him food. So I went on my way. In the city center, I met a weird Stalker who disappeared the second I got close. Near that, I found a house with someone inside, and on the roof was an Izwom, a talking Izwom, and he seems to know me. He shares that he is the journalist, disfigured by some kind of radiation near the center. He says that we can reach the center of the zone, but shares nothing more. In fact, his speech degrades even further, and as it appears, I contracted Zone 8s from him, just like real life. Soon, I was near the first source, a house covered in this green goo shit, but the effects of the sickness were starting to hit, and some were quite intense, with a sudden urge for men and fear of dogs filling my bloodstream. Oh no, I think I should speed up, but it wouldn't be Oblivion Lost if it was easy, with Mo Lestra paying me another visit from the skies. Eventually, I went down a manhole, and that was the second location of the 8's package. With both marked down, I went to Ao, and he says he'll report it to the big boss. So I went away, and 2 seconds later he called me to back up, and the general had a similar idea to mine, just his presentation was lacking. We're gonna bomb shit. So, we headed down... God fucking damn it, he's stuck again. Eventually, we were at the first spot, and the Freedom Bomb Squad just blew up half the city. Because duty could never. After the longest walk ever, we were at the second spot, and the explosion nearly knocked the 8s out of my system. And it was getting worse, with my skin rotting. But it's nothing that throwing 2 grand at bald people won't fix, especially when you're broke. Well, with the 8s defeated and duty's heterosexuality still not restored, I went to the general, and he was satisfied. But I feel like I forgot something. Probably not important. Time to go to the swamps. Unfortunately, I died. Oh yeah, right, the science team. Does this count? Looking through the city, I stumbled across a locked door and a weird red light. So I did the only logical thing and threw myself at the balcony from 2 wires about a gorillion times until I managed to stick the jump. Only to find a dead guy with a diary on him. That pretty much confirms. Yep, he's dead. So am I after touching the button. So I got down first try and eventually found the real science team. Ignoring the sounds of guns and a BTR, Messer was questioning if the monolith was real, but before reading, I had to silence the guests. Okay, damn. This is a perfect example to showcase the bipolarity of the AI, even when I was heavily pinned in the house, and outside the house, and the Zone 8s weren't making it any better. They still showed extraordinary psychological abilities, and somehow I got myself into a very awkward position. You come here often? With my magical escape, I was back to Sakharov, and the quest was complete, and there was no more dialogue. Haha, no, you can't do this to me. Alright, I'll go turn off that cheater on my own then. Fuck! So, quite embarrassingly, I had to use YouTube guides. Yeah, shut up! I had to Google this in Slavic runes, you get it for free in English. So if you go into this hole, you meet Le Doctor. This has nothing to do with the story, it seems. You can also find Toad in this bunker north, but he has nothing to say. You are just forced to listen to his shitty radio stations for several minutes and just shut the fuck up, man! So perhaps it was the emission scanning device that I forgot that I needed to return. It was not it. Well, maybe these random papers I found literally called Memo to S.T.A.L.K.E.R could lead me. It was not it. But it was interesting. So I did some random side quests for barkeep, literally chasing a bloodsucker around Rostock, started owning property, and eventually even found S.T.A.L.K.E.R stashed in the catacombs of Rostock. But there was a code locked door. Perhaps I need Audi X documents for the code. After a literal real life week of wondering what the fuck to do, I looked it up and I think I need to get 2 heavy gravitational artifacts. So I wondered and wondered until eventually I found them! 2 of them! On a random scientist! Yeah! Soon I was in front of Sakharov. It was finally time to... What? Motherfucker! Apparently, this wasn't it, and my car had blown up. With my Psy Health on its last brain cells, I went to find document X2, only to find that it's literally gone. Like it should be here, but it's not. Why? The literal guide says it's there, and you won't believe what I had missed. Allow me to show it to you. Hello guys, this is Rose the Bulls 32, and today I will show you how to avoid killing yourself after playing Oblivion Lost Remake. So you see, this is the scene base. So there is this green safe that looks like every single other green safe. Yeah, that shit is actually interactable, and you progress through clicking this generic green prop that looks like everything else. So that's all for this tutorial. See you guys in my next tutorial when I will show you how to commit alcoholism. So, I went to the scene base, and it was not there! What do you mean the literal way to progress in the game is not there? Oh my god! I went back and redid this hell a 3rd time so I could finally... just progress 1 quest. It took me a real life week, almost 2, for 1 quest. And there it is, the Winds of Madness document. Fucking lived up to that name, didn't it? The document mentions the Kaimano Freak being in testing, with complete disregard for safety standards. Brother, this is the zone, what safety? Anyway, this piece of shit will finally grant me proper tasks from Sakharov. Sakharov doesn't have much trust in Barkeep, but if I help science, science will help me. Alright, let's be quick about this. First job is to find a lost researcher near the road to the bar. You will find him in this shitty house surrounded by zombies. You can find him wounded in the house and escort him back through the shittiest path possible, as he completely ignores that the entire road is clear, and instead he will go straight into anomalies and tributers. Yep, not saving this man for this. Luckily you can continue after this, and Sakharov gets a new employee just like that. The second mission is a simple escort mission. Go ahead of him, shoot the 50 burers on his path because he's retarded, and watch him from afar as he does his stuff, because there is not a single safe tree nearby. The third mission is go to the cordon and escort one of his units out of the zone. Ignoring that there is literally a military stalker detachment on the cordon, that's now your job. So this is literally a press W and still fall behind type of mission. After you get near the checkpoint, just close enough so they shoot at you, you will black out and they will disappear, clearly showing this whole mission was all in the head. Fourth mission, Sakar complains about food, so now you must find 10 cans of food. You can go to Toad and listen to his stupid broadcast again, then pay 3k for 10 cans, or just buy them off random stalkers for like 1000 max. Fifth mission, at a random time a chimera will appear near his bunker, just kill it. Wild. Sixth mission, scan a zombie infected by Zone 8, skipping that. Seventh mission, go with some stalker to the shitty lab surrounded by 6 burers and watch him tweak on the way there, then watch hopelessly as he walks right into them. Again, doesn't matter, you get inside the bunker, we go around and find a bunch of dead people, then walk out and bully an old man, and you're done. Eighth mission, find the 57th assistant that entered the zone but never responded. You will find Mo Lester once again, and have to do your usual thing with him. The diagnosis is, he's dead. Next case. Ninth mission, You fucking bastard. You fucking bastard. 2 heavy gravity artifacts. Literal RNG. So I couldn't be arsed and bought one from Kubout for 5k. The other one I found with pure luck. Keep in mind, for the last week I've been trying to collect 10k. So Snitch finds the X2 documents for me that didn't even fucking spawn. But here we are still. 10th fucking mission. A military helicopter is approaching. It flies low because the pilot is impeded mentally. And he wants me to follow the helicopter. What? The local looters can raid our convoy? Man, it's flying! How low is he flying? Is he scraping the ground with the helicopter? In case of attack, our convoy cannot maneuver. Bro, it's a helicopter! Just fly away! What do you mean? Okay, let's give it a try. Maybe I don't see the full picture. So, I went to the village. The helicopter arrived, and bandits attempted an ambush. But instead of flying away, the helicopter literally just flew in circles above the ground while being shot at with RPGs. And you can't even get on the ground because you get sniped. Great! And this bastard is literally not moving. Who the fuck does this? Please! After dealing with the Gopniks, I got S.T.A.L.K.E.R his box of scientific butt toys. 11th mission. I need to catch a flesh alive so they can collect material. I hate my life. I got to that city and here is the flesh chungus. I followed him for a while, then Freedom fucking sniped it. So S.T.A.K.E.R told me to come to Yantar. I went back and he was not there. Apparently he went to grab that flesh while it was fresh. When I was literally there, I could have helped. Bro, who the fuck made this mission? 12th mission. The assistant wants me to play a rhythm game at 5 BPM with this weird device. It's like the 7th time they're taking samples but in a different way. But the reward was worth it. A device that lets you check if you have and cure zone AIDS. But the professor was still gone. 13th mission. Go into a home with a prototype Psy helmet and get molested by Willy Stalker. He has a penis. After going full balls on his ass, eventually he was splattered all over the walls. This is horrible. 14th mission. A group of scientists went to take samples of the AIDS, but got infected. Terminate them. After barely wandering, I found the group, and there was a single survivor, and I couldn't bring myself to kill him. He mentioned the syringe kit, so I went to grab it and came back, but the option was not there. Why? I'm sorry for this. To put salt on their wounds, me being infected was apparently a manageable problem, but one more guy wasn't. Make it make sense. And after all of this time, finally, the professor was back. Asked him if he could help reach the center of the zone through the Psy installation. And of course, it can't be simple. I need to get prototype weapons developed by their group and 2 samples of gravity guns, as well as documents on how the Psy helmet works. But nobody got a clue where the documents are because they were stolen by stalkers. Splendid. I already got 2 of the gravity weapons, the gloves and the shotgun that shoots gamma. First prototype weapon was under Dark Valley, in this elevating part of the lab, and it's power knuckles. And I guess here the devs ran out of ideas. So fuck you, get kidnapped again, and you're put in a cellar with this homeless guy. The kidnappers this time were Dark Stalkers, and they're not very good at keeping you unarmed. After a while, the military comes in to save the day. Except it's not your day because a Dark Stalker is now blocking the door with his fat ass and you cannot escape your Khrushchevka. So I warded back and got blasted the second I left the room. Third time, I didn't even get out of the room before getting annihilated. Eventually, I looked out and reached the weapon safe, but doesn't change the fact that you are surrounded by enemies on every side and outside. And this part is pure luck, no skill will save you. Eventually, I caught him lacking and got his ass, barely making it still. But there is another problem. Now I'm inside a tight doorway surrounded by soldiers, and not only that. So I tried to blow up the BTR, but suffered a skill issue. So the plan was to exhaust all of the soldiers who were just lining up. And I guess they remember that they are military stalkers, after all. Well, this entire part was so fucking brain rotty, I just did the same thing again and again until I finally could go out. And never fucking mind. Until when I was out, now I had to find enough grenades to rid myself of the BTR. But nobody had any, and more soldiers were closing in. I had to move. Well, now what? I'm hugging the BTR and it cannot shoot me, but if I stop hugging the BTR, it will shoot me. Maybe I didn't think this through. I tried the power knuckles and they did jack shit, but maybe the gravity gloves worked like a charm. After several more repeats of the same, eventually I decided that maybe I can pile up enough corpses to use as cover. That will surely work. Wow, I can't believe that worked. Wow, with a random grenade I pulled from a guy's ass, I could finally destroy it. Damn it, maybe I could, or maybe, what if? Well, what if I just leave? Oh damn, I should have done that from the start. Now it was time to return to 8th City to find the other parts of the scientists, and it was time to work for freedom. But they wouldn't let me talk with their boss without proving myself first. I had to go out and find a missing squad in the city, and they were in the school with unspeakable things happening to them. But I freed them with bullets. Next job was to kill a local fent dealer, but out of fuss summoned the local crystal meth dealer who cracked my crack. Eventually, I got to meet the freedom boss, and he gets straight to the point. The scientists put some kind of machine near near his base that is blasting increasing radiation. Get rid of it. Past this crack in the fence, literally what I'd consider out of bounds, you'll find the hut with the blueprints for the Psy helmet and a machine to stop the radiation. Great, that's one left. Returning to Chrome, Messer asked him if he knew of a scientist that lived here, and there was a scientist here, but he disappeared randomly. They tried to break into his apartment to no avail, so he suggests bombing it. But for that arrangement, he needs an artifact called Disintegrator, and one called, okay, I'm not doing this shit, half of the artifacts are unknown, and I'll just pay you 10k to shut up and bomb the damn fucking building. Fuck the documents! So I went to meet with his bomber, who was a bit anxious to leave the building, but after a few tries, he was motivated enough to continue. But we ran into zombies, and he ran into the sewers, and we fought them off down there, until I realized he might be stuck. But he wasn't stuck. Yet. Now he is. After making it out, we ran to the apartment, then out of it, then fought a zombie, then walked back to behold all the carnage we've created, and then back to the apartment. I was satisfied now. And it was bombing time. Inside the home was a bathtub with a bunch of skeletons. At least the scientists were having a good time before their end. And on the window that I totally didn't miss was the case with the last weapon. A water pistol turned into a Gauss pistol. Now the only thing left was to find the stolen documents. I can get Snitch to find the guy for me. Won't cost me much. Just 5 fucking grand. After way too long, I came back with the 5 grand, so he told me to walk around for a day until he finds him. A second passed and he told me where he was. Literally a random NPC without even a name has the documents. Well, time to go hunting. I rushed to the cordon where the icon was, and he was not there. Literally nowhere around. So I restarted and the icon moved. He was not there, so I did it again. Is it you? It was not you. Fuck you anyway. Eventually I ran into a random dead rookie stalker, and ding ding, that's our guy. Apparently he hid the documents in a stash. Going to the stash, it's in a radiation field. I knew, can't see shit. So I wandered for a while, until I saw a backpack hidden in the shadows, and the documents are literally a Psy helmet assembly manual. So you're telling me, this stalker just kept it, instead of selling it to the scientists for 9 gazillion schmeckels. So with the power of all the junk I collected, I can now continue the mainline quest. And he wants more Psy field measurements. Alright Amogus, let's go. And my scientist got distracted. He's shooting the antennas and he refuses to stop. I guess I'll need a new one. After a bit of a break, we're back to taking measurements. My brain hurts. The new one didn't fare any better. The newer one didn't handle the task either. Seriously, fuck this dog. Not literally freedom. So with my newest colleague, we managed to do this final scan. Finally, with the scans taken, we took the safe route back to base. Still walking past bloodsuckers and Albanians, but such is life sometimes. With all of these measurements, S.T.A.L.K.E.R can now make the Psy helmet, and it was finally time to go in hot. The entrance I was heading for was pretty lightly guarded, yet the atmosphere was tense. There is something wrong with this place. Or well, mod. So, I swiftly went down. Okay, maybe a bit too swift. Then a phantom jump scared me, and I met the same fate. When I attempted shortcutting, didn't seem to work well either. Well, maybe I'll just use the ladder. It was time to go into the tunnels. The darkness was lit up by fire coming from the schizoids, with faint signs of level 7 goblins as well. But pushing up was dangerous. What if there is a spooky jump scare? I was spooked. Pushing forward, you black out, being brought back to where you just were, like something is trying to stop you from taking another step. This will happen several more times, and you just have to follow the tunnels and pass through the zombies, until you reach this corner. You black out and you're transported in front of a statue of Lenin, with schizoids surrounding it, and then the statue collapses. GC just saved us from communism. After regaining control, I gunned down the zombies and the phantoms, but I don't think they should be like that. Then I was transported back to the tunnels, with infinite bleeding still included. Shit. Second try didn't even go that far. A zombie just instantly killed me, and going through the other tunnel doesn't seem much fun either. So I tried again, and again, until Lenin was merciful enough to make the schizoids not too aggro. But it was bullshit. A single shot evacuating all of my blood. So I tried to be real sneaky, but they automatically spot you once Lenin falls, and escaping the area just makes you black out. So my only choice was the manhole. I dived in head first, and head glitched my way out of this, and finally I was through. But it would be too easy without a random bloodsucker fight in a tight space. So I bombed the shit out of it and passed through. I was nearing the installation, then I saw it and walked forward, and it spoke to me. It's my ghost, part of my inner chaos, an illusion that haunts me everywhere I go, in my surroundings, something that doesn't belong to this world. If you destroy me, you will inherit it, as I once did when I killed the Stalker. Yeah bro, say no more. Now to pull the lever. What? No. There must be a funky bug, let me try again. No. How the fuck is this game so scuffed that I literally cannot press a lever? Like, look at this guy on the video, he's just doing it like it's nothing, and then he clicks this shit and it just works? So I tried, I really did, doing this part over 5 times, but nothing seems to work, it just refuses. Maybe there was some other way, maybe it was time to turn off the real Psy installation. Such a journey ending in such a way was a bit disappointing, but also a relief that it's over. I was really hoping that this would be a really cool mod to show a different zone, one from years ago, and in a way it was. It was a jumbled up mess of half-baked ideas with a storyline that is barely comprehensible and trips over itself on every opportunity. But this is what Stalker was, kind of. This is the process of creativity. You throw shit at the wall until it sticks, then you rethink the whole thing and blow up the wall. Creativity takes time. GSC did out they could with what they had for many years. Sadly, removed many features, but refined every remaining idea to a point where we had Shadow of Chernobyl. Less than promised, but without this version of early Stalker, what we have now won't exist. But oh man, do I appreciate Shadow of Chernobyl so much more now after playing this. But perhaps Oblivion Lost shouldn't be left lost. I believe that the developers will manage to patch up the holes and bugs to at least make a slightly more stable experience. But like, not all of GSC's ideas from 2001 were good ones. Some like diseases are interesting. Maybe if turned into something more than a salary check or death. But saving only in cover and not being able to sprint with a gun is just stupid. It ruins the flow and makes it unnecessarily choreful to play the game. If you change at least these two, or at least add the option to disable them, you can literally fix all of the gameplay issues, in my opinion at least. Story-wise, it's bad. As far as I'm aware, they were following the design documents like the Bible. I'm not even sure if it was the original concepts of a plan that GSC had, or if the Oblivion Lost developers had something to do with it. Still, whatever the fuck that was, it was just a mess. A curious mess, but definitely not a very comprehensible story. At least it's an excuse to keep you going forward, but Lost Alpha did it better. That says a lot. Oblivion Lost Remake really just doesn't want you to enjoy going through it in this state. Still, people said 2.5 is a good one, so 3.0 can become just like that. But for the moment, I cannot recommend 3.0 over mods like Lost Alpha, which despite being very fanficky, was less of a walking simulator and fucking worked for the most part. Maybe even the guy that originally recommended Vector of Alienation knew his shit. Man, fuck, I should have just listened. I hope you enjoyed witnessing this Erdoganian torture method. So, I guess that's it. Oblivion Lost Remake 3.0. An experience you will always remember in your nightmares. Next up on the list is Return to the Zone, a classic Call of Pripyat mod featuring 3 storylines and a lot of new stuff. It's also made by the creator of S.T.A.L.K.E.R, so it sounds very promising. I would like to personally thank all of my members that are still somehow alive. You guys really are dedicated, and I will be doing my best to pick up the pace this year. I fucking heard that. But it all depends on like the length of the mod. I have a job and a life. Also feel free to join my shitty Discord server to poke me to go even faster and whatever other shit people do on Discord, I don't know. Alright, that's enough. Now go back to watching Mr. Beast or some shit. I'm done with this mod, man. Fuck this shit. I cannot believe I played this for months. Like, why would anyone do this willingly? Maybe there was some other way. Maybe it was time to turn off the real Psy installation.
You failed me. You did not finish Mashitagami. Now we will have it only S.T.A.L.K.E.R will supon you. The most unimaginable will start this world as ever witnessed, even in your darkest of nightmares.
Башка после амнезии прояснится. А по твоей теме постараюсь.
Фучк.